Last time we talked about geological maps as well as placer deposit map of Arizona, and we talked about some books by the Marine Johnson and Eldred Wilson that give you information on placer deposits of Arizona, and not only Arizona. I mean, you can buy those books for several other states. I think most of them, and price is pretty low on the books. I've got an example here, and today we're going to do a little quick rundown on what I would do if I was looking at a new site. And I've pulled the San Domingo placer area here in Arizona, in Maricopa County, up on the computer, and because I have downloaded the books that I suggested. That would be Placer Deposits of Arizona by Marine Johnson, and Arizona Gold Placers and Placering by Eldred Wilson. And both these books are available online, as I said. I've looked up San Domingo online. I'm going to read you some of the stuff that this book supplies to you. Okay? And the first one gives you the extent, the location, south flank of the Wickenburg Mountains, northeast of the Hassayampa River, TPS 6 and 7 north, which topos, Rs 3 and 4 west. Okay, now township and range on topographic maps, these older books have most of the locations in township and range. Fortunately for us, you can go online, yes, online again, you can go online and download a calculator. Okay, what's that do for you? It's pretty cool, man. You go in there, you put in the township and range of an area that you've looked at in the book, and you can get the coordinates back as UTM, as degrees, minutes, seconds, however you want it. And it'll give you the coordinates so you can put them in your GPS and go right out there, or put them on Google Earth, which is another great tool. Okay, Google Earth, you can actually go look at the spot you're wanting to go to before you go there. That's worth $1 million right there. But anyway, it gives you topographic maps. It tells you Wickenburg and Red Picacho, 7.5-minute quadrangles. Geologic map, Moore and Pierce, 1957, geologic map of Maricopa County, scale, and the whole bit. Okay, access, cheap trails through the low hills, blah, blah, blah. And extent, the placers of the San Domingo district are found in San Domingo Wash, its tributaries, and adjacent washes. And on mesas, between gulches, the placer area is southwest of a low range of hills that include the prominent San Domingo Peak. The drainage of the area is southwest to the Hassayampa River. Many washes are mentioned in the literature as scenes of active placer mining, but the topographic maps of the area locate only San Domingo Wash, which drains through sections 25 and 26, and it goes on to explain some of the other gulches and whatnot that were worked or planned to work. That's some important stuff. Okay, and I'm going to scroll to the next one here. Bear with me. Okay, now we're going to go into more detail on the actual placer deposit and how it was worked. Okay, the principal placer area in Rogers Wash is probably in section T7, R north, R4 west, Wickenburg quadrangle, and it tells you about several placers in that area and how they're worked. Production history, the San Domingo district has the largest recorded placer gold production in Maricopa County. That's cool. Work during the period of 1870 to 1880, it is said that the greatest production occurred during this time, which individual placer miners are covered from $15 to $100 per day. Now that's when gold is probably around $18 an ounce. So you're looking at almost an ounce of gold a day, or quite a bit better for the average miner. That's with dry washers and whatever methods they were using at the time. That was a small scale. And although small scale from 1905 to 1951, it was worked continuously. During the early 1960s, gold was recovered as a byproduct of a gravel operation and by large-scale operations of a mobile dryland dredge. Okay, well this gives you something to look for right away. And I'm going to interject here, as I will several times, and say, before going to any of these areas, you need to look up if it's claimed, if it's not claimed, and what the land status is for that area. And there's also maps available for that show you state trust land, BLM land, which is very helpful. And I use a couple programs online. One is called Mine Cache. That's Mine, C-A-S-H-E. And it's at mine-com. And for, I think it's about $39 a year, you can download an actual program that will overlay on your Google Earth, and you can actually look at gold claims that are current, past gold claims, abandoned gold claims, hard rock mines, just about anything you'd want to know to keep yourself from trespassing on somebody else's claim. That's very important. Just because you find an area you want to go to doesn't mean you can just go willy-nilly out there and stomp around on their claim. Okay, so anyway, the other one is Gold Maps Online, and I think that one's $29 a year or so, and they also give you that same information. Combine the two programs, and you've got a really valuable tool on your computer. Okay, back to San Domingo. It is not known when the plasters were discovered, but the district was actively worked during the period 1870 1880, blah, blah, blah. We got into that part. Between 1910 and 1912, the district was actively prospected by Mr. John Sanger. Okay, this is kind of, it's heartbreaking for him and his people, I'm sure, and especially investors. But it's kind of funny, and it shows that even the old timers weren't the smartest bulbs on the block. Okay, he started the Latowana Mining Company and planned to mine 4,000 acres of placer ground on a large scale. The company concentrated its exploration efforts in Rogers Wash, where the average value of the ground was 68 cents per cubic yard. Now this is $18 an ounce. But where the value of some strips was as high as $1.19 to $1.36 per cubic yard. A dam built by Mr. Sanger across San Domingo Wash failed because the intended reservoir filled with sand and gravel. And this happened during the first year of operation. They built this big dam over a narrow spot on Big San Domingo Wash. You can still ride out and look at it today. Maybe one of these days I'll do a little exploration tour and show you that dam. But it's a huge dam. Yeah, it's probably 70 feet high, filled with gravel right to the top. It's kind of scary because everybody rides their quads up and down that wash constantly. There's no fence. And you're riding along, all of a sudden the wash just ends and goes straight down into some muddy ground and stuff. There's water backed up behind that that's, you know, it's underground. And it leaks through the dam and it's moist down there. But during the monsoon rains, it moved so much gravel that it filled that dam from the point of the ground all the way up to the very top. And it remains that way today. The dam still stands. Okay? Whatever production they got at that time is totally unknown. Okay, since 1912, the records indicate only small-scale operations in the district until the late 50s. In 1959, McDonald Construction Company recovered gold from gravels that were sorted according to size. Fine gravel, minus 3/16 of an inch mesh, contained most of the gold. That's important to know. That is important to know. Why is that important to know? Well, because we're nugget hunting. Or if you're watching this video for purposes of dry washing or high banking or whatever the case may be, it's still very important to know. Most of the gold was minus 3/16 inch. Okay? Plus, I'm sorry, plus 3/16 inch to minus 3/4 inch. So, these guys are running on average a ½ inch to 3/4 inch on their grizzlies. The big operations. Smaller operations ran anywhere from 3/8 to ½ inch. Okay, and here comes the good parts. That was sent to the Okay, the 3/16 inch mesh contained most of the gold. Coarser gravel plus 3/16 inch to minus 3/4 inch. Yeah, blooper here. It was sent to the Nugget trap part of the time. Okay, so that bigger material, when they thought their immaterial, they had maybe some half inch size nuggets or bigger, which would be pretty substantial nuggets. They were sent to a special nugget trap, but the rest of the time they weren't because it caused more work. Okay, guess where those nuggets went? Into the tailings. That's why we follow the dry washers and hunt those tailings. A little farther here. Yeah, okay. During the period of 1960 to 62, a dryland dredge, Geraldine, owned by United Placer Industries Incorporated, worked the gravels in the San Domingo district. The operation of this dredge received considerable attention in mining journals, but production records are confidential. Now that ran, if you go into San Domingo, there's an area where you can go up over a ridge and you drop down in, and it's called the old Eisenhower claims, because that was the name of the claims they had there. There are tailings piles bigger than your house down in that area. And it's on state trust land now, unfortunately. But before it was, we got a lot of nuggets out of that area. A lot of nuggets out of that area. Okay, and here's the source. The San Domingo district is predominantly a placer mining district, and there are very little literature available that describes the gold-bearing veins. The origin of the placer gold is said to be from Precambrian and post-Cambrian veins in the area. Those are old veins. This is an old placer deposit, and that's what we've learned from there. Okay, we've also learned there's nuggets there. We've learned everything we need to know, just about, as a nugget shooter or as a prospector, to get in there and start locating gold. We know what they did, we know where they worked, and we've got the maps that we can download. You can get more information through Google Earth. Okay, and we talked about these maps. Okay, so now I want to see the San Domingo district on paper. Okay. So we get to looking at the map, and we got Phoenix right about here. Okay, there's Phoenix. And we come right up here, and San Domingo district is right there. And I live right there. But that is the San Domingo district. Okay? And if you look, there seems to be a lot of occurrences of gold this way, to quartzite, Yuma, and here's the Bradshaw Mountains. Okay? The Bradshaw Mountains produced a lot of gold. More gold than anywhere else in this state. It's still producing a lot of gold, especially the nugget hunters. Okay, I told you last time to download these two maps. Okay, this is the placer deposit map of Arizona, and this is a geological map. Now we're going to go into more of the geological map information next time. Otherwise, these things are going to stretch. Some of my seminars run well over an hour. So, and I'm not going to sit here and bore you with that much information all at once. It's information overload, and it really does you no good. Okay, so now we've learned what maps we need to get started. We've learned joining the club's great. We've also learned to buy the books that tell you what was there and how it was mined. Okay, now you have knowledge. Now you know something about the area, and you haven't even set up there yet. Okay, so this map. Okay, we're looking at this area right here. I showed you all the red, or all the yellow dots. Go over to this map, and here's the same area. Okay, this is all the San Domingo area. Up here's the lower Bradshaw Mountains, and what you'll start noticing in these areas here, where the gold is San Domingo, Bradshaw, that area, and down through where I showed you the line went, and down into the Yuma area, what you're going to start noticing, the red is volcanic activity. Okay, volcanic rocks, intrusions, stuff like that. That's all associated with gold. And a lot of the rock around these are metamorphic rock. Okay, I'm not going to go into a geology lesson here. You get these two maps, you start looking, you start putting it together what colors and what types of formations are in each area. Each one of these formations is marked with a TV, a TX, an XYZ, a ABC, whatever they use for each different mineral or formation, or sedimentary rock formations, anything else. It's all there. Okay, all we need to do as a prospector is look at the areas that are known gold deposits. Look at this map and start learning what rocks in Arizona and minerals in formations and sedimentary deposits are associated with placer gravels and gold here. It's starting to make sense, isn't it? Okay, so now we can go on this map and look at areas from this map that produced a lot of gold, which is over $5,000 in a placer area. economically important. And we can take this map and start looking on the fringe areas of where a lot of that gold came from, and start looking at this map and looking in the fringe areas and start noticing that there are areas out of the areas that they have marked that are actually the same type of formation geologically. What's that tell you? What that tells you is that there's probably a good chance, a very, very good chance, that you can go in there and hunt and find gold. Okay? But again, check claim activity and make sure you're in the right spot. There's two reasons to use those claim maps. Number one is you can find out that it's under claim right now and keep your butt out of trouble. Number two, you can find out if the area you just researched actually ever had gold claims on it. And most times you'll find there were. And I've been very successful with this method. It's not the only method. There's a lot of other things out there you can do. There's old newspaper articles. We're going to go into a lot of that coming up. And I think I've glued you to this thing long enough for this session. And I want you to practice a little bit with these maps. And you're going to start finding this is really fun. And it looks a little intimidating at first. I think it's fun. There's nothing more fun to me than finding a needle in a haystack, and I'm the one that dug it out through information, through wild tales I heard in a bar, to a crazy article you read in an old newspaper that said Uncle Joe found 5 ounces of gold on the family picnic in Skunk Wash in the middle of the Bradshaw Mountains. That's some place to start. One of my best leads was a guy that came into the store when I was working at my property management job. And he said, I heard you metal detect for gold. I said, yeah, I do. And he says, well, you know, we go sheep hunting in an area. And he said, my grandfather always goes with, but he doesn't hunt. I'm wondering where he's going with this. He said, but you go up there with baby food jars and a little hand-puffed dry washer, and you go home and fill up 1 or 2 baby food jars every time we went up hunting. And this was once every couple of years when they got a tag or, a sheep hunt license. And that got my attention. And the guy asked me if I'd like to know where that area was. I said, well, I sure would. And he gave me directions to it, as well as he remembered from being young. Okay, there are 3 landmarks that I was supposed to look for. Well, unfortunately, he got the landmarks messed up. So, in looking for that area, a guy was with me. We had quite some adventures trying to find that area, but I did finally get into that area. And that area, over the years, has produced several pounds of gold. Several pounds of gold. One hole had 3 really nice 3/4 ounce plus nuggets in it. That was just on a whim. And the area has no recorded placer gold production. No placer gold claims on any of the maps. There's a couple hard rock diggings out there. As far as placer, there's nothing listed. A lot of people would have bypassed that lead. Blew it off as, just some kid remembering the tale, and it just wasn't quite right. It took me 4 trips in there to find that spot. I'll never regret it. And I've got a lot of stories like this. But the thing is, those stories can be your stories too. There's still spots like this out there. And if you stick with me on this and can handle my rambling back and forth and the bloopers, we're going to get through this and get you onto some gold and get you learning how to do research on your own. Okay, had to go away for a minute, my nose itched. Okay, I'm back. We're going to go more into this in the next chapter. There's going to be a bunch of these guys. And if you really want to learn how I do it, this isn't necessarily the only way to go about this, and everybody's got their own way of doing things. If you want to learn how I go about it, stick with me. Subscribe to my channel so you get updates as I go. I'll be putting a bunch more of these up, and it's going to be in a series. This is number 2. And this weekend, I think we're going to go out and do some actual hunting, and I'll probably be busy with that over the weekend, but early next week I'll start on some more of these. And I really enjoy helping you folks learn to find gold. That's why I'm doing this. If people can get the thrill I get when you've spent 3-4 weeks, several trips, you're frustrated, you're tired, you're thirsty, you've been out there trying to find this spot, you're starting to even think in your own mind, I'm never going to find this spot, and you walk over a hill, you see a dry wash pile, they're old ones obviously, all the fine stuff's washed away, or you get in the wash, you start finding those little things people call boot tacks with the big head on them. My friends, those aren't boot tacks. Those are furniture tacks. Okay, they use those to hold the bellows on their dry washer. Remember how I said trash can be a clue? And you start finding these old piles and some of those nails in the wash, and the next thing you know, you're pulling out nugget after nugget. If I can help anybody else do that, and I already have over the years, trust me, there's a long list of people that have found their first gold simply by listening to me babble on about how I do it. So I'm trying to do that for you too, and like I said, please subscribe if you're having fun watching this stuff, and Nugget Shooter out.